Everybody get a chance to ask me some questions about this. Michelle and I told Reverend Otis Moss that we were withdrawing as members of Trinity. Now, it's a decision that Michelle and I had discussed for quite some time after the National Press Club episode. I had discussed it with Reverend Moss. We had prayed on it. We had consulted with a number of friends and family members who were also connected to the church. And so this is not a decision I come to lightly, and frankly, it's one that I make with some sadness. You know, Trinity was where I found Jesus Christ, where we were married, where our children were baptized. We have many friends among the 8,000 congregants who attend there. We are proud of the extraordinary works that the church continues to perform throughout the community to help the hungry and the homeless and people in need of medical care. I have tremendous regard for the great young pastor who has taken over, Reverend Moss, and continue to admire the work that Reverend Wright did in building up the church. But it's clear that now that I'm a candidate for president, every time something is said in the church by anyone associated with Trinity, including guest pastors, the remarks will be imputed to me, even if they totally conflict with my long-held views, statements, and principles. We obviously saw an example of that in the recent statements by Father Flager, who is somebody who I've known, who I consider a friend, who has done tremendous work in Chicago, but made offensive statements that have no place in our politics and in the pulpit, that unfairly mocked and characterized Senator Clinton in ways that I think are unacceptable. It's also clear that Reverend Moss and the church have been suffering from all the tension my campaign has visited on them. We've had news organizations harassing members at their homes and their workplaces. We had reporters grabbing church bulletins and calling up the sick and the shut-in in an attempt to get news about the church. We've had news organizations scrutinizing Reverend Moss's sermons and attempting to try to make political hay out of even the most innocuous or innocent remarks by him. That's just not how people should have to operate in their church. It's not fair to the other members of the church who seek to worship in peace. So our faith remains strong, and I expect that we will find another church home for our family. Obviously, Michelle and I know that faith and prayer.
American pastor at the Azusa Christian Community Church in Boston. He's known Reverend Wright for years and says that Wright does not speak for all black churches, and what he says is out of line. Now, I sat down with Pastor Rivers, and we spoke about Reverend Wright. And joining us now, the Reverend Eugene Rivers of the Azusa Christian Community, and that's out of Boston. Welcome to Hannity's America. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now I want to remind our audience, you're friends with or know and have acquaintance with Reverend Wright.
I've known Jeremiah for years.
Yeah.
Right? You know, there's a sort of national preacher circuit, and
right.
I'm small potatoes, very small potatoes in that game. But I've known Jeremiah. We've been cordial. We've bumped into one another at various conferences. He and I have debated. Actually.
About?
In fact, it's interesting. We debated a number of issues around what the black church should be doing. And there was actually a debate around that some years ago.
First of all, he's obviously well-educated. He is very powerful in his presentation, a great orator.
Yeah.
By the way, Louis Farrakhan says some things that Sean Hannity agrees with, but he's still an anti-Semite, and he's still a racist. And what do you know about Reverend Wright personally. I want you to lay it out, the whole issue of black liberation theology and the black value system. Now, when Reverend Wright was on this program, on Hannity and Combs, and we asked the question, I asked him, you know, about the black family, commitment to the black value system, commitment to the black community. It's all, you know, black liberation theology, which we're going through here. I said, if we replace Reverend Wright, the word white, every time the word black is there, would that church be called racist?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Now, listen, of course, look. If white folk ran around hollering the same stuff that Jeremiah did, we'd say they were racist, they were insensitive, and we need to call the cops.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what about this Dr. Cone and